Good evening. There are moments in history when people bleed, and there are moments when that bleeding is gently wrapped in silk, perfumed, and presented back to them as shared pain. The recent celebration around a healer from our community is one such moment. Let me begin with honesty. Dr. Sushil Razdan is not an ordinary man. He is a clinician of rare caliber. A mind that reads the nervous system like a seasoned cartographer reads terrain. In the clinic, he does what civilizations aspire to do but rarely achieve. He restores function, he reduces suffering, he affirms life. In the moral universe of medicine, he stands tall, almost monastic in his commitment. And yet, history is not a clinic. History is a crime scene. And genocide studies teaches us something unsettling. It tells us that after the act of destruction comes a second, quieter phase, not denial in its crude form, but something far more refined. A phase where language is softened, where memory is curated, where suffering is acknowledged, but stripped of its architecture. What we witnessed at that event was not merely a book release. It was the performance of what scholars call narrative domestication. The word exile, it was debated, softened, even resisted. Exile, we were told, is perhaps too harsh. He nearly left, they said. He remained connected, they said. But genocide does not always operate through distance, it operates through rupture. You can remain geographically proximate to a wound and still be civilizationally exiled. When a people are uprooted, when their homes are emptied, when their temples fall silent, and when the night itself begins to speak in threats, that's not merely displacement. That is what our own civilizational vocabulary, far older than modern legal framework, calls Jati Vidwans. And Jati Vidwans has a peculiar afterlife. It produces over time a language of reconciliation without accountability. It produces empathy without attribution. It produces remembrance without naming the agents of erasure. So the healer is celebrated and rightly so, but the wound he carries is aestheticized. We are told of pain, but not of its authors. We are told of loss, but not of its design. We are told of shared culture, but not of its targeted dismantling. This is not accidental. This is the second stage of genocide, epistemic dilution, where the victim is invited back not into his home but into a narrative that has already been edited. And here lies the paradox. A brilliant doctor heals individuals, but a society that refuses to name its crimes continues to wound generations. Dr. Razdan, in his personal excellence, represents the resilience of our people, but the discourse around him risks becoming a museum where suffering is displayed but history is disarmed. We must learn to hold two truths at once. We honor the healer, but we interrogate the spirit. We respect the man who restored nerves and lives, but we refuse to allow the nervous system of history itself to be anesthetized. Because a genocide unacknowledged does not end, it mutates. And when memory is curated without truth, it becomes not healing but sedation. And let the doctor remain a healer, but let history remain a witness, not a diplomat, not a poet of convenience, a witness. And A witness by its very nature does not whisper, it names. Namaskar.